Welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of Community Chronicles, a DDPY community video interview series. We're still working on shortening up that subtitle somehow. But today, super pumped. My guest is Mr. Matt Schmitt. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, Matt. So I think you kind of got the routine down by now. Give us the short movie trailer version of what was wrong with you and what has joining and getting involved in the DDPY program done for you to rectify it.
So what was wrong with me is I T-boned a fire truck, and my mobility issues from that. I had my lower two discs that attached to the pelvis were bulged and poking out. Was having chronic sciatic nerve pinches. Drove my middle knuckle into the middle of my hand and my right. So I was dealing with a lot of mobility issues, and being 465 pounds, moving around, finding something that would work for me with those mobility issues, having severe knee pain from football injuries was causing going up steps, that kind of thing, to be very troublesome. So this kind of gave me my mobility back, but also taught me a healthy routine that I can stick to, something that I didn't have to depend on, getting in the car and going driving to a gym or something like that. And I don't have any judgment feel from anybody staring at me. So, which everybody deals with being overweight. So, I would say that would pretty much, deal with that. So.
Yeah, I agree that gym people suck. Sorry, gym people. You as individuals are probably really cool. But just as the vibe that you get as somebody who's not, who's working on themselves and is not super comfortable, those people are intimidating, whether they
Right.
need to be or not, And so I can relate to you there.
Well,
Um,
then we hate mirrors, and there's mirrors everywhere.
Right. Yeah. Cover some of these damn things up. I only want it straight on and slightly above. Right.
Right.
So, how did you find the program?
I actually, it was funny. I was in the end of December. Actually went on the scale and found that I hit 465. And so I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I just Googled low impact workouts, and being a DDP fan from back in the 90s, I'm ADD and dyslexic. And so I've always followed him because I knew his backstory. And so I was a fan back in in the early 90s, and I was going through high school at the time, dealing with everything that he was going through with reading problems and all that stuff. So I saw him pop up, and I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And I saw Arthur's video, but it wasn't until I saw Justin Dobbins and Vance's video that it really kind of clicked with me, that because Arthur's was inspiring, but he wasn't 465 pounds either. And so I was like, it might help my mobility, but will it help me with the weight, my kind of weight? So I started looking into it, and after talking to my wife, she's like, "Go ahead and try it." And so I was like, "I'll give it, 3 weeks. If I don't see anything, I'll hop to something else." And I think the first week I lost 25 pounds. I'm like, "Okay, I'm sold."
Yeah,
So
that'll hook you. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. I agree. Two guys there in Vance and Dobbins that if they can't get you believing in yourself that you can
absolutely.
do something, I don't know who can. So, and that kind of ties into my next question, which would be, what difference has the DDPY community made for you in this whole experience?
I think I've met so many friends, and that was the thing, is I really didn't have somebody that, I grew up 3 hours from where I currently live, so a lot of my childhood friends, you lose contact because you can't go out and do stuff with them. So having, people that you can rely on and connect to is pretty important. So I found a bunch of those in this group, but just keeping somebody that keeps you accountable and checks on you when they haven't heard from you, and just that level of confidence that, hey, if I need a day to vent, that I have someone to go that actually understands what you're going through has been very beneficial for me going forward. Is being able to lean on them when you had the good and the bad. Celebrating the victories with you, because if you don't have a spouse or somebody else that's going with you, it's a very lonely place if you don't have someone that you can share that stuff with. So being that as a backbone and keeping you driven. I mean, seeing everybody's posts on a daily basis kind of keeps you going. So um, I would say that was probably the most beneficial to me, is being able to share and kind of lean on um, other people. So
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I've got, my wife's great too, as far as being supportive, but because she's not going through the same experience, can't always relate. Like when I'm struggling and I'm getting
right,
down on myself, she won't know why. She's like, well, look at you compared to, 6 months ago. And it's like, yes, yeah, I appreciate that. But so it helps to have people in this community who are going through a similar experience and can relate to the struggles that you deal with, right?
yeah, because there's the whole physical part, but I wasn't prepared for the mental being so much more than that. Because for me, mentally, that's been the bigger transformation than the even the physical one, and going through all the self-doubt and the anger from past experiences and dealing with all the emotional stuff that comes. I wasn't prepared for that, and to have people to rely on that can share that is pretty huge. So
Yeah, you start to learn more and more about what got you here, right?
right,
And I used to steal always in my posts from this cheesy leadership writer Marshall Goldsmith wrote a book called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There," right? So if you don't address those things that led you to deciding to better yourself in the first place, that gave you something to fix, if you don't address those causes, you're going to end up right back where you were. And
right,
so that's where I totally agree that the mental part, that is the overwhelming part of the program. The exercise you get used to after a while,
right,
but actually confronting some of the stuff up here, that's the hard part.
right. It is.
So it's awesome. And then I wanted to get a mention in of something as far as giving back to the community that I know you had been doing a few months ago,
Hmm.
was basically your own version of the DDPY hardship fund. Like
Yes,
by
yes,
branding certain positively unstoppable challenge participants' journeys and then selling merch, you
right.
were able to
Yeah,
basically,
I created a Teespring account, and I kind of just did it because my I kind of started, and my kid just wanted my logo on a shirt to wear to school. And so I was like, well, that would be a good way to do it. And then I got to thinking, I was like, actually, some of the family members and friends wanted to purchase it, to like hoodies and stuff, to kind of help out and spread awareness of the program and all that stuff. But and then I got to thinking, I was like, so you get percentages of what you sell. And I was like, that'd be really cool, because I kept seeing all these people that needed help with the app, or they needed a heart rate monitor, or they needed a mat. They didn't have the funds. And I was like, that'd be a cool way to get back, is to reinvest that money from people helping um, and purchase that stuff with it. So I think we've helped like 6 or 7 people with heart rate monitors, full year apps or DVDs. But the last couple I've just given to the hardship, the DVDP group, the hardship fund. It's really hard to really decide who's going to get it, to be honest. And I asked a couple of people to help, and I just found it was easier just to do a lump sum donation rather than try to handle that on my own. Just because I feel bad that I had to pick just one person, and it really got to be overwhelming. I think when we put the link out for people to apply for it, I got like 50 submissions of people, and just choosing, who's going to get the most benefit out of it. All that became a lot more than I expected. So, but yeah, we end up. I did most of the logos myself, and then once people were like, "Hey, that's pretty cool," we kind of just did it as a, "If I did it, would you be happy to do that kind of thing?" And so I think we ended up getting like 8 or 9 people to do it and put them on there. So it's been a really neat way to get back to the program.
Yeah, it's very cool. Kudos for even, having the thought to make those funds available to people for those things, because it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't take much, but you probably made a huge difference to those 6 or 7 people. In
I didn't feel right just taking the money. It because even though they were supporting, the logo or the brand that I made for the YouTube channel and stuff, it just didn't really seem like it was my money. I was doing it, to bring awareness to the program, and what better way to do that is to actually fund people to live, to start their dream like I was able to do. So
it's
that's
awesome.
kind of where
Really, really great, man. I commend you for that.
I
So,
appreciate it.
we try to keep our interviews fairly succinct, so as to separate ourselves, and also not to drag them out too long. Right? We just want this to be a little quick conversation. So as we move along here, we're going to roll into our rapid fire segment.
Okay.
Are you prepared mentally for this?
Sure.
All right, I'm going to reel off some questions here. There's usually about 10 of them. Just spit out the first thing that comes to mind. Doesn't matter if it's a right answer. There is no right answer, right? Unless I ask you how you like your steak done, there are definitely wrong answers there.
Right. Right.
Anywhere else, it's just instinctual. So are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right. What's your favorite movie?
Oof. I have subcategories in movies, so that one's hard. I've always been a kind of a movie buff, but top, I would say either Shawshank or Tombstone.
Oh, both good choices. What is your favorite DDPY workout?
Synergy 40 has become one of it was the bane of my existence when I first started, but I've grown into really liking that one. And I would say probably the live one with King, the 811, I think it is probably two of my favorite just because I like his humor.
Yeah, yeah, he's a funny guy. I love the DDPY sumo stuff too.
Right.
All right. What is your favorite sound
My kid laughing.
and your least favorite sound?
Nails on a chalkboard.
What's your favorite sports team?
Professional or college?
Either one.
Indianapolis Colts and Clemson Tigers.
Awesome. What's your favorite smell?
Baked bread.
Mm. Your least favorite smell?
Skunks.
And what would your professional wrestler name be?
Blitzkrieg.
What is the worst advice you've ever received?
Just do it tomorrow.
And the best advice you've ever received?
Mm, do it again tomorrow.
Awesome. You did great. All right. So then the last thing that we ask our guests to do here, because the show is about community, is we want you to give a shout out to one member of the DDPY community, or two if you can't think of one, and give us just a little bit of why.
I would have to say I have two, and one was the man that's kind of started for me was Justin Dobbins. His video inspired me to get my butt off the couch, and without his one-on-one messages when I first started, and answers to my questions, because you always have so many when you first start, and where to start and how to start, and he was just so receptive and checking on me, and if I had questions, didn't really care to answer them. And then I would have to say Pat, being a big one. I started fasting quite about 6 months ago, and we've kind of morphed into a kind of a friendship going forward, because he started fasting again, and we've been talking quite often about the fasting and checking on each other's progress, and just seeing his drive even after running everything, and all the stuff he has going on the side, and he still finds the time to make sure that his exercise and his nutrition's on point, and just having that banter back and forth has been really inspirational to me. So
that's two really good picks. I mean, Pat really puts a lot, especially into the Positively Unstoppable Challenge group. But the community as a whole, he makes time for everybody. He puts a lot of effort into it, and he still finds time to focus on himself and his family, which I respect.
absolutely.
You mentioned the DDPY Savage.
Yeah.
He's a big, scary American, but he also will make time for anybody. And
Right.
he's just a good dude who will shoot straight, but he does care, and he will try and help keep you motivated and be there for when you need him. So yeah, two great picks there, Matt. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that about does it for today. I don't really know who's going to be next, but you can always just hang on. It's never more than a few days wait. One last thing I'm going to ask you to do here, Matt, before we go, is give us a bang to close her out.
Gotcha. Bang.
All right. Thanks. Don't forget to do this tomorrow.